And if you're looking at a whole bunch of words that are wrong compared to how they've been updated, you're going to get a lot of push from different sides of the table. The DM is going to have a lot of conflict with certain players based off of what rules are you reading in what positions, what Reddit threads are you diving into for rules clarifications, when are these timestamps for when these updates were made. I hate that Tasha's Cauldron of Everything exists for the very fact that there's now a third separate edition with differing rules for updated features in between 5 and D&D 2024.
Hello, friends. Robert Bettman here, author of the Caverns Creatures series of comedy, fantasy novels, and short stories. With me is Sam West, and today we're going to talk about how to upgrade or convert your current campaigns from old 5th edition to new 5th edition, or
Yes.
D&D 2024, or whatever the hell it's called.
They really did drop the ball on the name. It really could have used a 6 after it. That would have been really convenient. Instead it's just D&D now, which I get, but also like it's not clear as to what you're talking about. It's not going to be clear for like 5 years, so that's gonna be fun. Anyway, yeah, the point of this video hopefully is to take people that are playing D&D right now in 5th edition, and regardless as to where you are in a campaign, figure out how much is worth converting over and how to do that, right? And how much is it need to switch, how much should you switch, all that kind of fun stuff. I do think it's going to vary table to table, obviously, based off people's needs and wants. And, you know, if you got one person really excited to try the new stuff and you got a bunch of other people that are like, I don't really want to learn that crap. I think these people can live in harmony and can function at the same table. And hopefully I can provide some insights and some things that are worth upgrading, worth considering everyone revise, that kind of stuff. Want to dive in?
Yeah, let's dive in.
Okay. So we can do this by level, because that'll be the easiest way to kind of
Okay.
express when, what you should look to update in a campaign. If you are under 3rd level, I would genuinely advocate for remaking characters using the new edition out the gate. That's although probably the largest adjustment that would need to be made, but it will be the cleanest, and many things will convert from 5th edition into the new edition anyway. If you've got, for example, let's go with a drow you can just go to the barbarian, take the level 1 through 3 on barbarian from the new edition, take the drow from the new edition, and you're golden. You'll have to do a couple more updates as far as your backgrounds are going to be different now. Your background is going to give you a feat, and your ability score adjustments, you're going to have to retool those ever so slightly. But I really would say that it is worth taking low-tier characters and switching them over, because it'll just make everything cleaner and easier, and everyone will be on the same page as the game progresses. It's definitely the best time to do it would be the earlier in the campaign as possible. If you've only gotten 2 sessions into your new 5th edition campaign, I really do think it's worth everyone going, okay, let's just have a quick session 0 again, retool these things, chat for a couple hours, have some drinks, have some fun, remake our character sheets, and then we'll pick up next week back at it again. You can even do this digitally. You can even have it like in people's downtimes, go on Zoom calls, go on Discord or whatever. I do think the full kit and caboodle conversion is worth doing if you are under 3rd level.
Well, yeah, then that's the easiest time to do it. That's I mean, getting above that, there's going to be so many changes, stuff you're not used to, stuff you didn't have a chance to adapt to, that features you might have or features you don't have that you did before, and then you're gonna have to and maybe you made decisions based on earlier things that aren't applicable anymore. That's not going to be the case with a very low level character as often.
Yeah, that's where it's going to get, I think, a little bit messy. The mid tiers, like levels 4+, the reason I have that 4 being the bar, at level 4 is when feats become more involved. This can obviously be a problem for variant humans in 5th edition moving into the new edition, just because they get to start with a feat sometimes. If you are 4th level or higher and people have some particularly powerful 5th edition feats, I think converting is going to get a lot more painful. I think there are going to be some people that don't want to lose their crossbow expert, don't want to lose their great weapon master or their sharpshooter. They'd like to keep the cool, powerful abilities that they had built towards already. And then whenever they go to look at the new edition, those feats have been gutted. They go, I want to play the character that's better. You're going to start to see and have to have some conversations about where you want the table's power to be. Now, That being said, I do think you can update to the new edition and still maintain some of those things. If you are at a table where people are levels 5, 6, 7, you've gotten comfortable with your Sentinel builds, you've gotten comfortable with your Sharpshooter builds, you've got other people that are using Conjure Minor Elementals, Conjure Woodland Beings, and the table's having a good time with those spells. You can, instead of upgrading everything, you can choose to leave the legacy content the way it is. So you can leave the spells that people have taken, leave the feats that people have taken, and instead just opt to upgrade people into the new edition by adding the new powerful features their classes got. That's as simple as going through as a monk and saying, oh, I get this new feature that lets me get my key points back whenever I roll initiative sometimes. Oh, it's a warlock. I now have the ability to regain a spell slot. I think adding is going to be a way more clean and easy transition than subtracting. And you can do this without even having to rework backgrounds or anything like that. You can just leave backgrounds where they were and just ask players to go look at the new features they got and add them to their sheet. I think that's going to be the easiest way to upgrade a mid-tier party to the new edition or to a approximation of the new edition. And then moving forward, just say any new spells you get, let's use the ones out of the new book. You can maintain the old ones, and you're going to maybe want to like draw an L next to it to denote these are legacy, these were used of the old 5th edition, we aren't using the most recent versions of them. And then I would also advocate for don't take spells that have the same name but different functionality to old features. Don't take feats that have the same name and different functionality to old feats. Like, don't have both sharpshooters on your sheet, as an example, as a way to sort of advance and sort of hybridize the two systems together. Does that kind of make sense?
Kind of. I mean, I guess it's going to be messy however you do this. And this is maybe the least messy way, but
I really think it will be fairly painless and it'll be fairly quick to just go read through your class. Don't make any adjustments to the spells. Don't make any adjustments to the feats. Just go through your class and say, what new features do I have? And staple those to your character sheet. Even subclasses. If you're using Old Arcane Trickster, you don't need to update it to New Arcane Trickster. And that's not to say you shouldn't or can't. I think if someone would rather update to the new stuff, that's fine. Absolutely go for it. I'm wholeheartedly here to tell you, play the new Trickery domain instead of the old Trickery domain. But I think if you're looking for the ease of convenience and players are reluctant to do the update at all, if you're a DM that's really pushing for this and wants players to use the new edition and people are reluctant, I would definitely come with the perspective of offer more, not less. Offer new additions to sheets, not restrictions to sheets, because that'll be the easiest way to, I think, move into this and through this new edition. You can use all the stuff you've had up to this point, but from this point forward, we're going to use the new stuff, and you can gain the new stuff that you got in the earlier levels that you missed.
yeah,
That kind of makes sense?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, my gut feeling right now is just play this campaign through under the old rules, and next time you start a campaign, start fresh.
I think there are going to be people that have that opinion, but at the same time, right, it's hard to not get excited about something brand new.
Yeah,
it's hard not to get excited to say, well, we are 7 levels in. We've been at this for 4 months. We didn't know the new campaign was coming. We didn't want to not play D&D for 4 months, right? So we started a game. Now we're all level 7. We were halfway through this adventure. It might be a little jarring to suddenly have this new ability, this new power, but it is going to be at least a way that you can get excited, play with the new stuff, sort of opt into the features that you want to opt into, and leave the less powerful, less changed things that you were, the nerfed stuff you don't have to necessarily engage with if you don't want to. Now, if you are at a table where someone is doing Conjure Minor Elementals, Conjure Woodland Being stuff, if you are at a table where, wow, this sharpshooter feels really oppressive, there is a little bit of precedent now to be like, hey, bud, it would be great if we use the updated version of this, so you still have cool powers and abilities, but it's not as game warping. It got nerfed for a reason. You kind of point to them being like, this is kind of like the patch notes, right? This is, maybe you don't need to be doing these crazy busted stuff with Crossbow Expert anymore. Maybe you can, use the new Crossbow Expert, which has still got some functionality to it, but isn't going to run the table the way that it's been running the table for the last 4 levels. It's going to be, I think, an easier conversation to have around those old powerful features these days. Now, you are going to have to constantly have those conversations because people are going to be like, can I use the old 5th edition stuff? And then if the answer is ever yes, they go, well, what in the old 5th edition stuff can I use? And then you're like, well, not the feats that got revised, or that's a whole different topic of video, though.
Oh, yeah, this whole thing's going to be a mess for some time.
Yes, it is going to be messy. I do think this is, it's not going to be a catch-all for everybody. You're going to want to have these conversations on a person-by-person basis, and I would even advocate for allowing person-by-person changes. There are going to be times where players are just like, I don't have time nor am willing to commit the effort to updating my sheet. Okay, keep playing with the 5th edition content. Don't make any changes. Don't add anything to the sheet even. That player can probably still play alongside, no issue, with some of these updated characters. Some of the new updated characters will be demonstrably more powerful than them in some cases. And in some cases, it'll be the inverse. But things can move forward with some players opting in and others not. I do think that may lead to conflict sometimes, and that you might want to buckle down and get ready for that conflict to say, well, I didn't update. Why am I stuck? Why is this person allowed to take the new lucky feat, but I can't take the old lucky feat? That's going to be possible fringe conflict that arises whenever you're shifting editions. And that's just the mid tier. If we're talking about the upper tier, don't. And I'm serious about that. I think the moment you pass like 13th level, the disparity in additions is going to feel very pronounced. These are going to be characters, especially if you've played through 13 levels or 14 levels of the game. This is really where I do agree with you, Bob. Finish out the campaign in 5th edition. I think making large sweeping changes to characters that are already that dense and complicated is... Some tables are going to be able to get away with it and have a fine time with it. People are going to do the full conversion. It's going to be fine. But if half the table engages with the new system and half of them don't, there's going to be there's going to be the headaches I can only imagine being really, really massive. And I would advocate for saying, especially if this is like a first campaign you're running, finish out 5, finish it out with the current book, get excited to use the new book, maybe even expedite the finale of this campaign to use the new book.
Just kill everybody.
I really would say don't even touch the updated spells. Don't touch the updated species. Don't touch any of the updated content. That weapon mastery suddenly getting jammed onto a paladin in 5th edition is going to feel a little bit more powerful and a little bit... If you're playing in an old campaign book, you're going to get some conflict and some tension. It's going to be a little bit clunky and awkward. Again, I'm not saying no one should do it. I would, though, advise, again, specifically players that this is a first full campaign, finish off with edition, then start fresh, everyone using the new content just from the new books. I think that's probably going to be your best bet when it comes to updating to the new system.
Yeah, and we had this conversation a few videos ago, but I've come around to your way of thinking. I was thinking, you use the stuff that's in the new books, but if it's not included in the new books, use the old version. But now I think just use everything from the new book and just forget the old version.
They're going to be real clunky bits with classes like Rogue, where rogues will suddenly have this brand new, very in-depth, interesting mechanic that is fun to engage with. Cunning Strike is a really cool ability. I love it. I would love to play with it as a rogue, as a high-level rogue. There may be case-by-case bases where you go, yeah, like I was talking about in the mid-tiers, add the new features onto it. In the cases of full casters, the spells changed a lot. And they changed in small ways, and the rules changed a sizable amount in relation to those spells. There are things like emanations now as verbiage that you have to like work around with. There are new condition adjustments that have been made to the game. And if you're looking at a whole bunch of words that are wrong compared to how they've been updated, you're going to get a lot of push from different sides of the table. The DM is going to have a lot of conflict with certain players based off of what rules are you reading in what positions, what Reddit threads are you diving into for rules clarifications, when are these timestamps for when these updates were made. I hate that Tasha's Cauldron of Everything exists for the very fact that there's now a third separate edition with differing rules for updated features in between 5 and D&D 2024, right? There's going to be real 3 now versions of Ranger that you can look at. That's incredibly frustrating to me personally, right? So the lower the tier is, the more changes I would want to make, which is again why I advocate for the if you can bite the bullet and have everyone remake characters, try to do that. If you can't do that, if you are in the mid tiers and that's just too much effort and energy to do full rebuilds, updating to whatever the 7 levels prior features are, and don't change species, don't change existing feats and spells that people already have. Just update to the new features and then use the new features from there on out. That can work. And at the highest tiers, the system is going to change so wildly, and there's going to be so many moments where you stop for 45 minutes to figure out what the new minutia of the rules is that I don't think it's going to be worth it for an average table. It might be worth it for yours, but I would guess that an average table that's not going to be the case. So this is sort of my 3 ways I would consider upgrading to the newest D&D. Weapon Mastery is a really cool system, and I really would
Yep.
advocate playing with it and trying it out. But again, it's kind of something you want to have opted in at the beginning. Cunning Strike's the same thing. New Monk abilities, kind of the same thing. There are some features and updates, like Pact Boons being no longer a feature and now invocations. That is a pretty substantial change for a low tier warlock to get, and will radically adjust the power balance if you were just like, oh, keep all your old features but update to 3rd level. There's going to be clunkiness in the low tiers for it that you're going to want to talk about and work through together. There's going to be a case by case basis,
especially with multi-classing with between classes that got features at 1st and 2nd level,
which again adversely affects higher tier play, right? It's going to disproportionately be harder to deal with at tables that are levels 17, are levels even like 13, 14, 15, where you get 10 levels in one and 5 in another, right? Those characters are going to have a lot of changes to their core functionality that may have some things just stop working, and may have, like, Divine Smite being changed as radically as it is going to take some paladin builds that might rely on bonus actions and make them look a lot worse. So where and when you choose to engage with these things is going to be a difficult question. Do it on a case-by-case basis. Check in with players if you're the DM going through this to be like, hey, these are the new updates. These are the ones that would affect you. If you're able to talk about that, go for it. Now, granted, you're also learning this brand new book, so I don't expect DMs to be able to make that case-by-case change and case-by-case adjustments. So there's going to need to be a lot of communication. And again, the earlier your party is, the more changes I'd make, the higher level they are, the more I'd recommend just stick out to the finale, then move to a new campaign with this edition.
Yeah. Or stick with old 5th. Nobody's forcing you.
That's true. You're welcome.
Yeah.
I would advocate for this new D&D 2024. I think it looks like a near strict upgrade to me over Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition.
Me too.
I don't think there's much reason to play core 5th edition anymore if you can play this new edition. Maybe the reason you're doing it is because it's free on the basic rules and stuff, but like this is just in a landslide a better edition than the prior one to me. So I would recommend playing with it. But if you prefer the old one for some reason, go for it.
We've got commenters that still play 1st edition and don't want to hear anything about anything other than that. But,
yeah, 2nd edition's too crazy and radical a change for AD&Ders. 1st edition D&Ders, different things. Yeah. Advanced Dungeons & Dragons is 2nd, right?
Think so.
I don't remember the nomenclature.
Yeah. That was not before my time. That was my early time.
Yes. I know. I still know people that play original Pathfinder, original 3.5. So I don't know anyone that plays original 3rd edition. I do know people that play 3.5 and Pathfinder. So yeah, comment down below if you've got any specific rules that you would you would want to chime in as use these new rules and not these others. Let us know in the comments. I think generally speaking, if you're doing the full reset, use all the new edition rules. If you're not doing a full character reset, use as many 5th edition rules as possible, including underwater combat and stuff. But if you've got any specifics that you would rather say, no, you should probably make this change or this change, commenters, let us know. Let other people on the internet know so they can, get your advice too, not just ours.
I'd like to hear your stories about how you've adapted your characters, your campaigns, whatever, to the either adapted them to the new rules or whether you just decided to scrap it and start over. Yes, your thoughts are welcome here. Leave them down in the comment section. But I guess that's it, right?
Sure.
All right, that was a conversion from 5e to 5.24 or whatever. Thank you, Sam, and thank you everyone for joining us. Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Like, subscribe, and we will see you next time. Goodbye.